Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. We're going live today to talk about the customer experience. So, I assume that you guys have customers, whether you're a sales professional, you're an entrepreneur, you're definitely really concerned about having a great customer experience. And I hear you because actually getting customers is so hard. So, we definitely want to keep our customers. Think about the ad dollar and how hard it is to acquire a customer. So today, I really want to urge you to listen to this podcast and take action afterwards. I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips that are going to help you retain your customers. And not only that, turn them into super fans. Now, I heard about this super fans from Pat Flynn. So, shout out if you guys don't know who that is. He is a really amazing entrepreneur, owner of the Smart Passive Income podcast. And he wrote a cool book that's called Super Fans. And if you guys don't know this, I just announced today that I'm launching a book club that is called From Zero to Six Community Book Club. And we're definitely putting that book on the list because it's just a really good read. So let me just put that in the chat real quick so you guys can see this. And I highly recommend you look at his book because if I can do one thing, it is to shout out good resources for you. So Super Fans, check this one out, guys. Super Fans by Pat Flynn. So some of you may even feel intimidated when you hear that word super fans, but don't be at all because it is definitely not anything to be weirded out by. It's just, who wants to have great clients? Raise your hand. All of us do, right? And I think that we're making a lot of big mistakes. So before I tell you how to create these super fans, clients, and good experiences, let me just say that one of the biggest questions I get regularly and that I see being searched up online is how to get more clients or how to grow my following. So I'm sure you've heard these questions or you may have asked these questions. But before we talk about getting more clients or getting a bigger following, how about taking care of the people who are following you, right? So what are you doing right now with your list? Are you really taking care of your relationships, the people who are in your network right now? And if you aren't, why not? So what I mean by that is, are you in regular contact? Are you DMing them? Are you getting on calls with people in your network? What kind of personal contact do you have? Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs make this mistake of making it all about them. It's all one-sided, right? And you've probably heard me talk about the post and run problem where people just go online, post their stuff, take off, and then wonder why they don't have any clients. And the truth is, you have to make some two-way effort. A relationship is not a relationship if you aren't interacting with a person. So in order for this to be a two-way relationship, the person actually has to respond. So take care of the people you have and, interact with people, interact with comments. Every single comment matters. So acknowledge it. If I sometimes just do emojis, to be honest, where I just like acknowledge that I've read that person's comment. That's the minimum. If you want to go all in, you can start conversations with their comments by answering their comments, continuing it, keeping it going, but basically letting them know how much you appreciated them. So please take this into consideration before you go out and try to get new clients. The other thing that I think a lot of people are making the mistake of is making your service very close-ended. And what I mean by close-ended is, bless you, Ivy, is maybe like a service where it's either just a one-off consult or it's a 6-week program, and then that's it. You don't have any more contact with that client. Well, why would you do that in the first place? You work so hard to get that client, and then you're just going to work with them for such a short time. I mean, that always baffles me because I want clients for life. So if you go into your business with this mentality that, number one, you're going to interact with people and it's going to be a two-way relationship building activity. Number two, you are going to aim at helping them long term, not just like for a very short period of time, right? Well, there you go. That's already going to help you enormously because relationships take time to build. So if I worked with you briefly, like really, really briefly, maybe afterwards you didn't do a good job of staying in touch. I'm not probably going to become a super fan. But if you had services with me long term, you kept buying my books, you kept coming back and taking new programs from me, or maybe you got into my membership, that's already going to be more meaningful in terms of our relationship together, right? Um, so really don't treat people like fans or followers, treat them like human beings. And I know that sounds really obvious, but I see it all the time. And I think it's really unfortunate that people don't take it more seriously. So, all right. So I wanted to talk to you today. I've kind of made some notes here about how to really create the super fans. Um, Number one is your brand. Use your brand. Your voice, make everything you do polarizing, unique, original, and very distinct. The more distinct, the better, because I actually want people to either love or hate you. The more neutral you are, the more safe you play, the more like official, professional voice you use, the less people get to know the real you. And how can I become a super fan if I'm not really engaged with you on a personal level? So using your voice means being personal as well, right? So number two is use your content. So if you show up weekly and you are really consistent, like you have a podcast, you have a YouTube channel, and you drop videos weekly, you have a blog, you have a newsletter, those are all content that repeats itself. And the more you show up on a regular, consistent basis, the better that I can develop a relationship with you. Like I have podcasts that I absolutely adore, and I sincerely feel like I know them, like on a personal level, even if I've never met them. And when I do finally meet them, it's like I'm meeting a good friend. Now, that may sound weird, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So, why didn't I mention social media? So, it's true that I have my favorite social platform um, content creators, but there's a difference. And the difference is consistency. So, I can't control what the algorithms show to my connections. So let's say that we're first connections on a social platform, but I only see your content once every month. And that may be for several reasons. It may be that, you're posting it in a time when I'm not online. So by the time I get online, I'm bombarded with new posts, and your post is somewhere posted several hours ago, something like that, right? That's number one. The other reason is that social media is only showing a subset of your connections, your content. Lately, my engagement and my content has gone way down. So I'm not getting very many views. Come here, honey. What's wrong? He's coming back. If you wanna go outside and talk to him, put your shoes on. Sorry, my daughter is upset about something. You can go talk to him. Yeah, yeah, just, tell him, "Maxie." He's right outside. You can go out there with him. Just get your shoes on. You can get other shoes on too. Sorry, everybody. I have a little girl, 5 years old. Um, so priorities, right? These lives are not perfect. I have interruptions. I have background noise. And that's actually what I love about live. So I'm just taking a side note to say, keep it authentic. Like if you see the real me, flaws and all, real life and all, then you'll know what you're getting into, right? You'll know if you ever work with me, um, who I am. You'll know, you'll already have heard my toddler. You already see some of my real life. And I love that because I think building trust and becoming a super fan of somebody also means like seeing the real them. When people are authentic and vulnerable and real, I tend to really, really like them better and want to engage with them more. Yeah, Juana writes that you've gotten to see a lot of Ivy. Yeah, that's my toddler. It's so true. She's like the star of the show. All right, I'm back. Sorry for that. I accidentally bumped my. There we go. Sorry, I accidentally bumped my disconnected my camera. So it wasn't internet, it was me with my hand making a gesture. Um, all right, so let's keep going. So what have we talked about so far? We've talked about using your brand and really having a unique voice and being polarizing, being unique. Show us your quirks. Um, I like to know what differentiates you from the other people I'm, engaging with, because all of the factors that make you unique are also your superpowers, right? So that's what makes me want to get to know you more than somebody else because you've shown me who you are. Uh, I also have to say that sometimes people shy away from showing their faces. Please don't do that. Um, my good friend Vicky O'Neill just did a video challenge last week. Um, okay, no, talk to Mexi. Okay, sorry. Um, so, so this is really, really important. Show your face because I think that all of us were scared the first time we got on camera, right? And but if you don't see the real person, you don't hear their voice or you don't see them or you have, everything is just too polished, it's not going to turn anybody into a super fan. Trust is built through real connection. Uh, my son, his name is Maximilian. I have two sons, two daughters. The one who's right here, though, is Maximilian. So let's see. All right, I put some notes down of what I really want to make sure I told you. So I mentioned about showing up weekly. I mentioned about showing your face, being unique. I don't like social media for this because, like I said, you can't build loyal fans if they can't find you. So unless you've got like some really amazing following where they're, and that takes time to build, then people might be coming specifically to your profile. They're like literally logging into the platform and going direct to your profile. That's one thing. But I don't think that happens, especially in the beginning. So if you want to create super fans, you can't rely on that. Um, So that brings me to the next point, how you can create super fans. But before I do, I just want to shout out some of the amazing people who've shown up tonight or today, wherever you are. Jeremy, thank you for stopping by. Juana, amazing person. Thank you for being here. Vincent, my friend, thank you. I really appreciate you. And Brenda. Brenda was on my show just a couple of weeks ago. So if you guys are watching this, make sure you head over to my YouTube channel and check out what we talked about with Brenda. She's an amazing person. All of these people are amazing. So that's what I love about what I'm going to talk to you about next is if you want to build super fans, think about passing through community. Okay. What do I mean by community? Let me show you. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to show you. Help. I'm getting all my branding kind of confused here. Do I have? No, I don't have it up. Okay. Okay, never mind. We'll get back to it. Community. All right. So if you want your customers to love you, build a community. Next week, my good friend Chris Colt is doing a community challenge. He is a community coach, amazing, amazing guy. And even better, it's completely free. So go look that up on LinkedIn. Just look up Chris Colt and get in that challenge. Sign up now before it's probably maybe even too late. Who knows? But it's definitely worth it because every person I know who has a successful following, and when I say following, I mean they've got people who just are around them, are raving about them, who actually buy everything they put out, to be frank. That's what a super fan usually does. Support them, give them referrals, recommendations, shout outs. Those people have communities. And I have been, over my business career, created several communities. It is a lot of work. And I'm telling you, it's not at all as easy as it looks. um, Keeping up with your community, managing your community, knowing what best practices, knowing the do's and don'ts, and especially getting the right people in the group and getting them to stay engaged is a full-time job. So I just want to put that out there so that I don't want you to think that I'm just, snapping my fingers. Oh, my daughter's showing me something. I'll acknowledge that it's a lot of work. And if you have the budget, you can get a VA or a community manager, somebody to help you out, an assistant. And this is the funny part is a lot of times this may be exactly one of your super fans. So I am a business coach and a marketing strategist, and I help several of my clients set up communities where their community moderators are people who've been following them for a while and really like their brand and are more than happy to help, manage the group. So that's an option I definitely wanted to mention to you. But create your community, how to find your people. And somebody who does this, I'm doing a lot of shout outs tonight. I don't know why. One of the people I want to shout out, he's going to be on my podcast. So, spill the beans. His name is John Esperian, and he has created a community on LinkedIn, which is a platform I actually hang out on. I know some of you are thinking, why? Trust me, LinkedIn is cool. And his community is called Espresso Plus. And I have watched him over the past like 3 or 4 months just grow this community like wildfire. And I think that there's a few secrets, and I'm inviting him on my podcast too, so he can really tell us in his own words what are the success secrets of a community. But I'm mentioning that because to have happy customers, build a community for them, man. This is like one of the best things you can try to do. Some of the things that he does, and I want to say not only him but other people who I've seen have a bunch of super fans, is to be very, very helpful and supportive. So number one, are you helping people? And how do you help people? Like in your community, you got to put in a lot of value. So, giving the example of John, and I know I shouldn't be talking about him just like this randomly, but hey, I'm shouting him out. Is he'll put up like, okay, LinkedIn just released this new feature. Here's a video that I put together to show you this new feature. I mean, how cool is that? That's value. So, when some of my clients are daunted by the idea of setting up a community, I say, heck yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be worth it. And they say, yeah, but what should I post? And my answer is always the same. Definitely think first and foremost, what are my members interested in? Because you've gotten them there being very clear and specific who they are, right? And what are they going to get out of this group? So you've got a specific topic, like for John, it's LinkedIn, right? There's another community that I'm very loving that's a copywriting community, right? Or like this past week was this big event, VCon from Gary V Friends. So he has built an amazing community and it's all around Web3, NFTs, all of that, right? So, first and foremost, make sure that you know what topic people have come together to talk about. That doesn't mean you're limited to not talking at all about other things. But I come to a community with a promise of who's going to be in there and what are we going to be talking about, right? So don't let me down, because if you do can really produce value around that topic, people are going to love you like crazy. All right. And that brings me to another thing you can do in your community, which is shout outs. And that's something John does too. I think it's a Friday shout out he does. He's not the only one. He didn't invent that. There's more people who do this. But how amazing do you feel when someone takes the time to write an entire post about you, or, call out your name on a podcast, or just do something special to acknowledge you, right? I mean, I don't think anybody ever gets sick of that. So that's something that you can do for your customers. They will love you for it. I personally shout out my customers all the freaking time. I mean, really. And can you give people recommendations? Can you refer them? Can you introduce them to new potential customers for their business? So if you show up for your customers in this really helpful way, that it's not just one-sided, I've given you the service, now leave, they're going to notice. They're going to note, and they're going to be like, wow, this person actually cares about me. So, and that brings me to another point. If you want people to love you, you need to love them. So we're talking about being kind and shouting people out, being generous and giving value. But ultimately, it has to be genuine. So I kind of can smell it if somebody's not really genuine. And then I get like this and I'm like, okay, what do you want from me? What are you going to ask me for? And that's pretty sad. It's pretty sad that I would feel that way. Because usually I'm just so giving myself, and I love when someone does something nice for me. So I'll definitely try to do something nice back. And that's the rule of reciprocity. That's a mouthful for me, which is one of the basics of sales psychology, right? So I've talked a lot about a community because it's so important, all right? But moving on, I've got more good stuff in the bag for you guys. So let's see. We talked about your brand having a very distinct voice. We talked about showing up regularly in your content, and it shouldn't be just a social media thing. There should be a blog, podcast, show, or something that they can really rely on. We talked about the power of community to build super fans. Okay, now this is super, super important. Amazing products with perfect pricing. Ta-da! Now, this is something I specialize in as a business coach. I love, love, love sitting down with you and brainstorming and mapping out, looking at your offers and trying to. I've developed a system that I call the ladder system. I'm going to be talking more about that in my money workshop next month in June, where we discuss uh, multiple revenue streams. So if you just tell me I got one product, or, I call your services a product. Okay. So if you're just like, I got one thing, take it or leave it, a lot of people are going to leave it because you're missing out on your ideal customer being at different stages of their journey. And remember in the beginning, I talked about becoming a lifelong customer. I don't want a quickie. I don't want a one-off client. So does that mean that I don't do one-off consultations? Heck yes, I do, because it's part of my system, right? I consider that if you are my ideal customer, right? My ideal customer, or ICA, are people building online businesses. But think about that. That's pretty broad. So, where are they at on their journey? They could be in a full-time job, but thinking about doing this and trying to read and consume all the content to learn everything they need to do. Maybe like launch something like a podcast or set up a blog while they're full-time employed. So, they're thinking about brand building. They could already be doing this as a side hustle and actually have some level of income from it and want to go further and not know what to do next. Or they could be really full-time in business for themselves and wondering, am I charging the right prices? How can I create better consistency in my revenue and in my sales, obviously, right? Because if your monthly income looks like that, it's really head jerking and stressful and financially not long-term feasible, right? So that's the same person, but at different stages of their entrepreneurial journey. So now take my example and apply it to your ideal audience. So who are they? And then think about mapping out their journey. And this is something I do with my clients. And I even have a special offer, the Power Session, which is a 90-minute deep dive into the brand where we go through some of that stuff. And so if you develop perfect offers with the pricing, then a customer is going to come and they're going to be like, this person has thought everything up for me, like the title of the product, the pricing, everything works for them, right? And sometimes I've seen great offers, but the pricing is off because it's just not in line with who they're offering it to at that moment in their journey. And so you have to always consider those factors if you want to create raving fans. Because I don't know about you, but there's certain people who I love everything they do. So every time they launch a book, I'm probably going to buy it. Or there's different people I'm a groupie of, right? And so think about that. Think about, I know my audience so well that I'm going to just keep putting out good products for them, right? And let me see. So that's number 4. And so if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and let me know. Obviously, I am always here to help you guys out. Let me just take a quick look on LinkedIn if there's any questions that I can't see, because sometimes the system is not so friendly with with showing me all the comments, and then I feel bad if I missed something, right? All right. Awesome. Awesome. I'm not seeing anything over there. Okay. So let me then continue on my journey, but feel free to go in and jump in if you have anything else you want to add or ask me. Okay. So the this is actually the two more things I've got to tell you guys. I know I'm so spacey out today because I've been outside hiking and I think summertime is just one of those times for me where I need to write things down. So I've got a little list here so I wouldn't forget. Okay, so number 5 is going to be having realistic goals. Uh, so have you ever gone in and been hired or hired someone and then realized that your expectations did not align and you're like, where did the disconnect happen? Like, when we first connected, everything sounded like it was clear. They were looking for this. I do this. Perfect. Match made in heaven. And somewhere along the route, things went sour, which means they thought you were going to do much more than you thought, you put in the contract, or vice versa, or the pricing. They didn't understand this was only for like one session. They thought it was for 1 year or lifetime. I don't know. In any case, what I want you to understand is it's super important to have goals for the outcomes of what you guys are going to work on. And these goals have to be exactly realistic with whatever the product is. So I'm a business coach and I have a lot of different products because I'm following my ideal customer, my ICA, along their journey, right? And so depending where they're at on their journey, I will look at these products would be better suited. So they have to have really clear goals. So if they think, okay, I'm going to purchase a one-off session and then I'm going to become a millionaire. I mean, I'm sorry to break it to you. We can only cover so much in like 1 hour, right? So I have to be really specific. What do you want to achieve? What's the priority? Now, how do I do this? Because it's not always simple. So to set really clear goals for the outcomes so that the customer isn't disappointed, on the contrary, they're very happy with the results. There's two important factors. Is number one, when you put together your irresistible offers and pricing, make sure to include all the details. Like I have a whole Q&A section of all my sales pages so that there's nothing left unasked. Literally, I want people to ask questions. Um, I have a questionnaire, I have a vetting call, I have an intake form, and, so I have things in writing that they've told me. I didn't come up with this. They actually wrote it down in the questionnaire that I can refer back to. And that has really helped put together the goals. And then having a clear agenda. So if I'm doing a session with someone, being really clear, okay, we are going to discuss this in this session for this outcome to help you do X. Okay. And if you do that, then it's very specific and people tend not to be upset because you've really told them several times what they can expect. So I think it also has to do just with good old-fashioned communication. But obviously, if you want clients that love you, be really upfront, frank, and transparent, right? No one likes to be lured in with a fake promise of, we are going to double your income in a month. And then after one session, they're very, very disappointed. They're like, well, my income didn't get doubled. What happened? So don't do that. It's not worth it. On the contrary, it's going to backfire. So then the other thing besides the specific goals in writing and realistic, they have to be realistic, are systems. So this is another thing I teach, and I love, love, love systems. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a live about, see, I'm telling you, my brain is fried today. The onboarding process. So when you get a new customer, how do you welcome them? And that is so important. So many people make the mistake of just diving directly into services. So like, okay, let's, set up a time. See you then. No, there's like very specific things you want to do to really get them excited, motivated, and most importantly, be very, very clear on what they're going to get out of it and expect, and how to reschedule or what to do beforehand, how to prepare. Like I think that's all what I call the onboarding process is super important. And I have a video if you are watching this on YouTube. that's where you're going to find the video about the onboarding process. And if you want to create super fans, that is important. What is going on? So, systems. What else could be a good system for your customer? Another system is getting feedback. So, how many times do you actually ask for feedback? A lot of people don't. They just think about getting that testimonial. And even that, there's not a good process in place. That should be a system. In fact, I think I've scheduled a video about getting how to get a testimonial. If not, it is definitely coming, because it's on my content calendar somewhere. Because I think that's one of the systems that makes people really want to work with you. I really hate feeling like a number. Like, you got my money. Okay, I got something from you and that's it. You never checked in with me if it's going well. You never followed up. Like, if you want super fans, you need to show them some TLC. You need them to give them some personal attention. And so that's something that unfortunately not many people are doing. And the secret to doing all that is systems, because there's only one of you. It's not scalable if you start getting super busy or you've got all these different channels to manage. So you're going to have to put in place some systems to do that. There are tons of things I can talk about, but I can't talk about them all today. But I'll just kind of briefly summarize the categories. So partly the systems are using the right tools to help you. All right. If you've got these amazing tools that help you gather things faster, more efficiently, more smoothly, that's going to help. One tool that I would shout out, so I don't currently use, but I've used in the past, and it's a very good tool. It's called Dubsado. And Dubsado is kind of like an all-in-one, where you can send your customer the contract for signature. You can send them the invoices. You can send them, the scope of the project, and they log into this platform, and all they see is all that stuff, and it's all very neatly organized. So no one is missing anything. It's like, well, I thought that was in the scope. Well, look, the scope's right there, right? The milestones are right there. So there's so much you can do with Dubsado. So if you're providing one-on-one services, you might want to check out Dubsado, because I do think that customers tend to be really happy when you're organized. I don't know about you, but I hate like trying to go back through my old emails to find something. So Dubsado is a great tool that takes out the hassle. I don't need them now because I've used automation, and that's number 2. So let's say that you've got a whole process of what needs to happen step by step when a customer hires you. This is a flow, right? And I actually teach this as well. And the flow has different touch points with different softwares. Well, I connect them all together via automation to create this beautiful flow, so that when a new customer does this, it triggers this to happen. And this enables the customer journey to be very smooth, and they always feel well taken care of. Like, because I'm using automation, because like I said earlier, there's only one of you. It's not scalable to be everywhere at once, but you don't want a person to have an inferior customer experience. So what do? Well, you get some fancy tools like Dubsado, or you get an automation flow like I've set up. I guess I just like that stuff. So, and then the third thing you do is you hire people. So obviously, sooner or later, the best way to ensure an amazing customer experience is to have people taking care of different stuff. Like, for example, if you are growing fast on social media, well, you might not be able to keep up with the comments anymore. So you might have a social media manager who's going to get in there and respond to the comments, help people when they have questions, get them to the right place. The same for your inbox, your email inbox, right? Crazy place. So have somebody managing that. Set up an email like support and then the name of your website.com, and give that to your VA, and let them handle it, or your business operations manager, right? You can definitely have someone in there managing those things. You can also use chatbots. Chatbots can do a lot of cool things to really filter out, get people's questions answered. But you see, my point is, if you want to create lifelong customers, make them happy and make them feel like they're well taken care of, right? And appreciated. Um, so show your customers some love, and make sure you're getting the right feedback from them. You're answering them in a timely manner. You're checking in with them. Check-ins matter a lot. And this is all about systems. So that's why I'm talking about this a lot now, because point number 6 is systems. So let me just recap to refresh the room, as we say in the old Clubhouse days. What are the 6 steps that you want to take if you want people to turn into super fans, right? So number 1 is have a distinctive brand voice with unique and sometimes even polarizing, memorable content, right, in your brand itself. So you attract the right people who are looking exactly for your vibe. Number 2, set up a regular weekly content channel, whether it's a blog, a podcast, a live show, an email newsletter, whatever it is. I need to see it weekly, and I need to be able to ensure that the people are going to get it by subscription. And that is not going to happen on social media. Social media is a redistribution channel for short-term posts, for, hey, it's me. But on a weekly basis, you want to have a special channel where they can come and get your content. Number 3, community. Obviously, where are you going to nurture these people? Get them into your communities, have conversations with people in the DMs, shout out people, show up without asking anything in return, and give really good content, and do it in an authentic way. Not because you're like, I know I'm going to try to sell something to these people. Do it because your business is your passion. You really could geek out on this all day. Like I'm doing this video. No one's forcing me to do this video. I love talking about these kind of topics. So make sure it's authentic. Number 4, your irresistible offers with amazing pricing, perfect pricing. And this is really something you gotta get help with. If you can't do it by yourself, reach out and book my power session, because, hey, I'm good at what I do. Okay. And number 5 is set realistic and specific goals for the outcome that your customer wants to get. Make sure that their expectations align with yours, so that the customer isn't disappointed, misunderstood something, was expecting something different than what you can give to them. And do this obviously before they hire you. That's why we have discovery calls. That's why we put out in our brand messaging very specific language. Everything should be written down so there's no misunderstandings. And number 6 was systems. Have put in place this a beautiful customer journey so that your customer feels loved, supported, seen, and cared about at every touch point. And that, by the way, starts long before they hire you. Do I need to repeat that for people here? Some of you may seem that that's shocking, but that's what we call nurture. And nurture is, I show up for my audience every week, whether or not they're buying something from me, not judging who is a person who's already bought something versus people who've never, worked with me. No, I'm showing up for this community of online entrepreneurs because that's my mission, is to help exactly people break out of their 9 to 5, start online businesses, grow online businesses, take back their time and money freedom. That's why I have a podcast called Take Back Mondays, right? So if you're thinking, okay, I have to start nurturing people, and that's part of the customer journey, you're going to be showing up a lot better for people. because people feel it if you're like, "Oh, he didn't buy from me, so now I'm just gonna ignore him." Um, that doesn't feel good, right? So, and you never know when people are gonna buy from you, if they need you, if they don't, and maybe they're never gonna buy from you, but you showed up and you did your best to be authentic and to serve the community, and at the very least, they're gonna notice that, and you're gonna have a friend or a supporter, right, in the industry. All right. So those are my 6 tips, guys. I am going to try to keep this under 60 minutes because your time is so valuable. And I want you guys to enjoy the beautiful spring weather. If you're watching this live, it is June Tuesday. Am I right? So we are having already these beautiful days. No one wants to be stuck indoors watching boring lives. Haha. But I hope this live isn't boring and I hope it's valuable to you. I really encourage you to sit down when you have the time and think about your irresistible offers and think about the pricing you've put together. And most importantly, can you talk to your customers? So that's why the community aspect's so important. That's why the nurture and the um the weekly content is so important because if you're showing up, eventually people will show up for you too. And that's where the cool conversations happen. And you can really understand how you can better serve your community, right? And so it's this beautiful cycle of support and nurture and success because ultimately that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help each other succeed. Thanks again for tuning in and come back next week. So I go live twice weekly. Right now it's on Mondays and Thursdays. That can change once in a while, but if it changes, it's either temporarily or it is a day change. So I kind of go between Mondays and Tuesdays sometimes. Sometimes I have guests who can't make it at a certain time, so I change the time slightly. But if you want to know where I am at all times, then the best thing you can do is subscribe to my YouTube channel. So you can do that just by going to my website, kristamaleon.com/YT for YouTube. Subscribe. You know that would mean a lot to me. You support my channel. And I post on my homepage, on my YouTube channel, all my upcoming lives. They're usually planned out about 6 weeks in advance. So you can kind of take your pick and click the reminder bell to get notified when that's happening. And hey, life happens. If you miss it, just come watch the replay, right? So if this is valuable to you, show me that it is by subscribing and coming and hanging out with me next week. In the meantime, I am wishing you guys an amazing week and go out there and take back Mondays. Want you guys to have just an awesome time. So let me test out my cool thing. Yay, applaud. I know I'm such a funny person, right? In a cheesy way, but I really like these kind of overlays that I'm playing around with. So that's it, folks. The show is over. Here's my information if you want to know a little bit more about me. And I'm so happy you guys showed up today. All right. Overlays done. Have a great day. See